Hey everybody, here we are. Here we are. There is Nomadic Camping. Glad to see you, man. He's the only one I see it. Oh, there's Ozarks Woodsman. Appreciate y'all coming in. Uh
I know
so looks
Matt.
like
What is Nomadic's name again?
Nomadic. Let's see,
It,
Nomadic Camping with Endless Weekends.
yeah, but what do you call him? Like, is he Joe? Is he
I call him Nomadic.
okay? Mhm.
And then Matt I call Woodsman.
Oh, you just
Uh,
go by their channel name. I get really personal. I go Randy, Matt.
yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Looks like there's only a couple people here so far, but I'm sure more people will come in as we go.
That's,
There's
that's
Adventures with
okay.
Ken is here. Okay,
Hey,
everybody.
Ken.
So let me say, like I always do, appreciate everybody coming in. I know it's Thursday. It's still weekdays. Y'all could be doing anything. You chose to come in here. I appreciate it. Give me some of your time. Give Connie some of your time. I just ask that everybody be nice. Keep your language clean, please, and let's just have a good time. And Woodsman, if you can help me and anybody else that may be in here to repost this link. I'm fixing to post it right now. If we can keep reposting that, and then as people want to, they can click on that link and I'll try to bring them in so they can ask Connie a question. Anyway, this is Connie. She lives in Canada. She lives off grid. And I mean, she lives really off grid. And she lives a life that we talk about and dream about and make videos about, but don't actually do. She actually lives it. So, anyway, uh, that's her. And we're going to find out a little bit about her. So, do you want to say something
Um,
before we start, Connie?
I just want to thank you, Randy, for doing this. I know you've been doing this with a few people, and it's a great community thing that you're doing. And I'm glad that you invited me. So I just wanted to say that before we started. Thanks for doing this.
All right. So, question number one, and she's also, y'all, she's also going to have several things to show us. So, if
Well,
you don't like the
before I,
question, then just wait.
but
Go
before
ahead.
we go to the questions, because I got my prompt inside, I just wanted to show you a couple of things here, if
All
that's
right.
okay.
Yeah, let me solo you. Hang on. Go ahead.
Can you guys see this?
Yes.
I found this in the bush today under a tree. I believe it's a skitter window, like for the door.
Right.
And it would be really old. I'm thinking of taking it, and it's got a handle on the inside here.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of taking it and using it for a window in my duck blind.
I think it'd look good.
Yeah, maybe camo it a little, but I don't know how old this is. It's got to be, I don't know. Anybody know, like from the 60s? One that looks like this, a timberjack? It's got to be
I've
old.
never seen one myself, but it looks cool. It looks old.
And then there's something else I have to show you. Just let me get it. It was better if I show you in the light. Just be a second.
So, let's see here.
Everybody knows what these are.
Mousetrap.
It's a mini one. It's a mini replica. It opens up. It's a lobster trap.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Um, my grandfather made it. He put a note inside, and well, of course, him and my dad were fishermen. Part of their jobs, they had multiple jobs, but this is also a lobster claw. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Where did you get it?
It came up in a one of the net lines Dad had.
Oh, wow. So, did you actually see
Yeah,
it alive?
No, my brother did, but I wasn't on board that trip. I didn't start
Okay.
going until I was probably 17. I used to go out on the fishing boat with him. And by then he wasn't fishing lobsters. He was doing long line, fishing sharks and groundfish.
Cool. So Nomadic Camping says I have been subscribed to you for quite a while.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And
I've
then
been enjoying everybody's videos.
Bank Beaters Outdoor says hi, Miss Connie and everyone. And
Hello.
then Woodsman talking about that window frame says that would be great for sure. And then Ken, Adventures of Ken says, is that snow in the background? It's 72 degrees out here.
Yes, it's been 55 to 60 degrees here, but this is in the shade and back here and the trees. So this snow, well, as you know, Randy, from the last test we did a couple weeks ago, it was a lot deeper than this. But
Right.
it takes a while to melt. Now, if you've seen in my last video out front in the other lots where there's more sun, you see how it's bare ground and the
Uh-huh.
fields are bare ground, but you're going to get this probably till May, end of
Yeah.
May, if it keeps up. It's been raining, but it happens. It's just the way the winter is. It's the same kind of winter because of the mountains and the valleys is the same kind as you would get in eastern Quebec, where in the 70s there would be late 70s you'd be getting 8 feet of snow.
Right. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so
So
you can see it.
Lower Michigan says I can only pop in for a second. I was getting ready to hit the sack.
Long day, but nice that he came. I appreciate
Yeah.
that very much. The other thing is, I'm wondering. I don't have to do this, but is anybody interested in seeing those? If there's any of those swans down there or not, or do you just want to go inside and do the off-grid thing?
What y'all want to do? I say do what you want to do.
But I can wait. But I just want to know if they can see this. When you can go solo when I walk over here.
Okay.
Sorry about the smoke. After I get over
Smoke
here,
cool.
wait. Can you guys see around?
Yeah, we can see a little bit of snow. We can see the trees. We can see a wagon.
You can see the picnic table there from one of the
Oh, I thought that
videos.
was a wagon. Yeah, I thought that was a wagon.
No, that's the old picnic table from one of the teddy bear picnic videos.
Yep, that's cool.
But this
Now,
here's
how?
where I've been. This here's where I've been cutting, guys. You'll notice that, right? And this has been under the snow here, and you can see there's a lot of mess. And the only reason it's like this is because of the dead beetle pine. And I've been cleaning up forever, and I still got a lot to do, as you can see. I should have put my camera on when I come down here,
So,
but there's a squirrel, of course. But can you see the water yet at all, guys? No? Probably not, eh?
hang on a second. No, we don't see them yet.
Do you
I'm
see the
fixing to read
water
you a.
even?
I'm fixing to read you a question real quick. Says Connie, would you do a video sometime with game from your trail cams?
Yeah, I can. I have posted some on my last video where I had a fox and some birds and rabbits and a flying squirrel, but I had the other big animals, they don't come out right. They'll be coming soon. The bear, somebody saw a bear a couple of days ago. The bears are just coming out now. And I will put up some more if they come by. I'm hoping they do. They always seem to just miss my camera. You know, like I had an elk and it came and it walked around the opposite side of the tree and just missed it.
Yeah.
So I'm not lucky like that. So can you see the water yet? No way.
We can see the trees, can't really make out the water. I think we
Yeah.
see the water. It's just pretty far away.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to go really a lot farther and you probably won't get to see. But right now I'll just take pictures maybe and post them. Right now there's a couple of swans out there and some ducks. Sorry for the moving around. I tend to do that in my videos.
I
They get
like it.
they get shaky. Oh, there's one of my game cams right there. See?
Yep.
I'll tell you, if you are getting into doing game cams, I mean, those are good, but go solar because they weren't out when I started to go for them. And the clarity on those new solar ones and how the battery backs up, it's awesome. And what the settings are awesome because you can put it that it takes a photo as soon as something comes and then it takes a video and then takes a photo when it leaves. So you got all kinds of options on capturing stuff. But you can see, look, there is green stuff down there, guys.
You know,
But I'll go back up so we can answer questions. But look at this mess. Wood
yeah.
forever. Wood forever, guys. Like if I knew a way to send it to you for free, I'd send you all kinds. You got a
I wish
truck you want to send over, guys?
Hey, don't you have enough big enough drone you could just drone it over?
No, listen, the way I fly a drone, someone will get hurt. Uh, it's not good. It's always windy here too, right? So you're
Really?
always
I didn't
running
know
into
that.
trouble. So I'll
All
go
right.
back so I can go inside and we can do some questions. And
Okay.
I can give anybody advice if they want to do something like this because there's things wish I thought of before I did this.
Okay.
So I'm
Let
looking
me read a few messages here.
at.
So Henry Leslie says hello all,
Oh, hi there.
and Woodsman says I'm just going along for the ride.
Yeah, it was quite a bumpy one there, wasn't it, Matt?
And then Hike with Mike says hello from the swamps of Florida.
Oh, Mike. I love Mike. Mike's awesome. He does some great hiking and he's right keen on nature and it's good medicine, he says. I love Mike. It's good. That's awesome.
And then nomadic camping says game cams burn up the batteries.
Yep, they do. And the worst is for here in the wintertime. It's so cold. You're not you don't get much out of them when it goes to it's minus 30, minus 40. They don't recommend them minus 15, so it's not a good thing. I'm
Right.
gonna use my R600, plugging it in, turning
Okay.
it on so I can hook up so I can actually uh get my answer thing up for you.
So bank beater. Let's see. Bank beater outdoor says that was what I was thinking. You have a lifetime supply of wood.
Yep. I'll never, in my time, I will never get it all done because forest, like I know from having other forest lots in different locations, trees are different, the obstacles are different. But even with a good lot, you're always going to be doing maintenance.
Right.
This was let go for a long time. That's why it's such a big job to get started. But the deal with that is you get acreage cheaper because not a lot of people are willing to put the work into it.
Right.
So,
So
but
hike with Mike.
one thing,
Sorry.
okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with these. It's kind of hard.
Oh, let
But
them
it says,
go.
hike with Mike. Nice to see you too, Connie.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. We're caught up.
Okay.
Take it away.
Um,
You want me to start asking questions or you want to show something?
I do want to say about off grid, like if anybody's wondering, before you go buy your piece of property, do some tours by the location a few times, different times of the day, different times of the week. Um, some places there's going to be more traffic than others. You want to know what's going on. Visit the property different seasons because you want to know if it's going to be flooding in a flood zone. If it's too dry, you should always check those things out. Ideally, your property should have some water source nearby. I'm lucky because there's a creek coming out of that bog, and I also did some dugouts. If you don't have a source of water and you do dugouts, that's really beneficial. Now I have one, actually two, and they're full now, and the snow hasn't even all finished melting. So it never goes dry because it's got a clay kind of bottom. And I use that water. I don't drink that water. I have tanks for drinkable water. If I were in a situation and I had to use that water, like the bog, because there's a creek in it and it's flowing, I would just boil it. If there was a world crisis, I'd
Right.
have that option. But I tend to bring in my big water tank and fill it for that. But the pond does my garden. It's there. I got fire hoses. If there's a fire, it's a really good thing to have. But that's good advice, is to check out your property. And ideally, if you're buying property, try to pass on property that has easement clauses in it. And what I mean by that is, does someone else have a right of way through that land or beside it?
Right.
If
Mm-hmm.
you want peace and quiet. You don't want someone that has access through your land to get somewhere else, because
Right.
it can cause issues. So that's another thing to think about.
Oh yeah.
And
I used to live at a place that had that problem.
yeah, it can get out of control. I used to work in a law office and I've seen lots of things, and it's not always going to happen, but why put yourself in that situation if you can avoid it? And
Right.
especially if you like your peace and quiet and be able to do whatever you want to do, set off fireworks if that be the case. And the other thing I would advise, anybody can do this. Everybody makes it look really hard. Don't be discouraged by that. You're doing parts of that now by camping and going out for the night and doing survival skills. If you do that over enough periods of time, you are qualified to do this. It's not like it's rocket science. And you have to be able, though, to do without things, be a minimalist. And that's what I am. I have everything I need. I don't want for anything, but I don't need all the extra luxuries either. As I told you, Randy, my first drive through is 100 kilometers away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any fast food near me, and my hub is like satellite, like not Starlink, but it's through the phone lines in the air. And I don't, I have peace and quiet. That's what I like. The roads can get bad, but hey, that's part of it, right?
Yep.
The other thing about moving on your property, if you buy it and you move on it, I tell you the best thing to do, like even if you have a camper to start, a boat, it doesn't matter. You crash in that. When I come on this property, I crashed in my fishing boat, my cabin boat, for 3 months. After first I tended outside, then I went to my fishing boat. And just before the snow flew, I got a fifth wheel. But the thing for the winter, and you put a wood stove, you're rocking. But the thing to do, if anybody does it, is to build, I don't know what you guys call them, takes like 4 or 5 holes and puts them in the ground left and right, and build like a garage canopy. It's like a carport that you can drive your boat under, your trailer under. You can put a big stove in there. You can seal it off. You can leave it open. Have that shelter and go under it until you're ready to build your cabin or whatever. I didn't do that here. I did it after with the roofing, and you'll run into problems. You might end up having a leak where you join buildings, whatever. Just build yourself a nice big shelter. And you can stay under that for, I mean, your climate is a lot nicer than mine, and you can handle it.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. But I got to get
We
back
have
to
a
your
hey,
questions
yeah,
before.
we have a question.
Mhm.
So this is from Lower Michigan. He says, "What kind of power station do you have over there in the corner?"
This is the one that was in my video. All powers are 600. And for me, it's perfect. Because all I'm using it for here at the cabin is my phone if I was on it, which I don't. I tend not to go on social media when I'm in my camp because I'm doing crafts or whatever and just chilling. But like for today, it's going to be perfect because I'm going to use my laptop and go online. If I so put this on here, I don't know if I got the buttons on right. I probably turned it on. And I also using this 600 for, I got a battery powered USB Dremel. So I can charge it in there when I'm carving instead of using my big carver. But I may go to a quiet, very small generator if I want to bring the big Dremel back here, but probably not.
Right.
But it's a really good system. The only thing with this system, like I know there's other ones, but if it gets over like 110 watts and you're doing something that takes heat and a lot of energy, the fan will come on. It's not loud, but the fan will come on. And some people don't like that. So I don't know
Right.
about the other models. You know, people complained about that. For me, it's nothing because I don't even notice it because after you're running a generator, you'll notice this is so quiet, right?
We got a question here from Minnesota Mike, and he says, "Do you live there full time or only part time?"
I I don't live in this camp. This camp is on the farther end of a lot. This is where I come to do my crafts now because that's what I built it for, and hang out and maybe do my duck blind down there and cut wood and whatever. My real place is out further, and that I live on it full time. I'm off grid full time. There are power lines that go by on the road to mine sites and that, but I've not connected up to them, and I have no desire to. The power goes out a lot. I don't even notice, but I have no need for it. I can have anything I want running off solar power batteries that are charged, or if I want to, like in the winter, I'll run it more in the evening. I can run appliances. I've got a bread maker. I've got an air fryer. I've got everything, if I want to use it. So it's kind of like luxury off grid. But you
Right.
can do it, like there's nothing to it. Like this thing about it, don't be scared of it. I know every one of you listening today could do it.
Right. So Hike with Mike says, "Is Connie an artist? Is the artwork behind her one of her creations?"
Yeah, I do a lot of art. I don't know if you can see that one. I'll put this up. I painted that there.
Yeah, that's the one he's talking about, I believe.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah, that I did a while ago, and that's me fishing. I've made myself blonde because I was at one point, and they have more fun. So there you go. and there's a couple of ducks in a canoe. But I'm still struggling with the water effects, the water flows coming over. And this is one of my favorites here. I'll just turn you around. Sorry for all the moving, guys.
Well, I
Because I
honestly,
don't have
I do
I
keep
don't have
saying it,
a,
but I like it when you're moving around because it makes it less boring when somebody's. It's better than just talking. Is what I'm saying.
you see that one?
Yes.
That's one of my favorites. I did
Yeah,
that
I
a
like
couple
that.
of years ago. Now, my paintings that I do, they're not traced. There's no templates. There's no planning. That's the problem. I just do what's in my head. I see that in my head and I paint it. That's just how it is. My tripod's giving me a headache. Sorry.
So
Need to get a new one.
Lower Michigan says that that's the same power bank he's using right now to charge his phone.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, I'd like to have more power to see what the other ones do, like a bigger model. But these new systems, they're good. I never, that's another thing. I was a little nervous. Like everybody's got these videos about these power stations and power banks, and I'm like, man, that sounds complicated. And then this came in and got it in the mail, and I was like, I didn't even read the instructions. It was so easy to set up
Oh
and
wow.
do. It's like, wow, that's the thing. You get intimidated, if you know what I mean, by all the things that are out there.
Oh
And
yeah, I do.
yeah, and I think we just have to, put that out of our minds and just go for it. And that's why I'm happy that I got it, because it's like, man, if I had known these were this simple, I would have had one a long time ago. But they are expensive too. I'm sure the price
Okay.
will come down.
Ozark Woodsman says, beautiful painting, Connie.
Thank you.
And then Henry Leslie Vermont says, I remember the red truck painting video.
Yeah, thank you. There's a good fan there.
Yeah. And Nomadic Camping says, I love them paintings. And
Thank
then
you.
Herbert has a question. What was the scariest thing about switching to off-grid living?
Nothing for me. Nothing. I mean, I think I'll say one thing that was scary to Herbert, and that would be how it came about that I came off grid. Well, in this particular time, I've been off grid a lot in my life, but this particular time it came when I was working a job and I was renting a house. And when I was at the job, a guy came in and said, "So we bought your place." And it was the guy that bought it, and the landlord didn't tell me. And that's how I found out. And
Mm,
I had 2 weeks to move. So try to find land and try to make a plan of what you want to do in 2 weeks.
wow. Holy
That was
cow.
kind of
Yeah.
scary because I couldn't move to an apartment. I had a dog and I had boat, and vehicles. And I had memorabilia, which you'll see some. And, you got to put it in storage, which I had to. And that thought of, oh my God, am I going to find something? Because I can work in the city. I can live in the city, but I'm not a renter. I'm not a person that wants to go into an apartment. I
Right.
mean, I will probably end up in a home someday, but I'll go kicking and squealing with my heels dug in the ground. But that's what's the scary part when it's thrown at you like that and you got to find a place. Other than that,
Yep.
nothing.
Nomadic Camping says, do you have a gas-powered wood splitter?
Yes, I do. I bought a Champion one just I think it was last year. The days flow together. My family always used to have one, and before that, when I lived east, I rented one. But for the last, 13 years, I split by hand. And then I decided they were on sale, and I was like, that would be a handy thing. And I bought it, and I don't regret it. It sure is, because you can do a truckload of wood like in an hour, and
Wow.
and you can split it down easy. I mean, some people think it's cheating, but you're not. I still split some by hand for the exercise. I like that sound. I like that exercise because I'm old fashioned, but man, the wood splitter is the way to go. And mine's only like 9 ton, and it does the job. It gets the knots. It's awesome.
So next question, which this is awesome getting all these questions because I usually don't get this many
I love
questions from people.
questions. I love it.
Minnesota Mike says, can you tell us about the plumbing at your place?
Okay, because I moved a fifth wheel on, I built around that. So there's my plumbing. And that is the best option until you do a tank in the ground, or your water system like that. So it's already set up and it's winterized. You just get a trailer that's winterized, so there's no issues there. And another neat gadget that I just recently found with plumbing is on Amazon. You can buy them. When I bring my 18-liter water jugs, I now have a little powered tap. They're on Amazon. They're about this high. They're white. You charge them with a USB. And they last a long time. You hit the top and you have running water from an 18-liter all day. Like, well, even longer than that, because 18-liter lasts me a long time. It only takes a little bit to make coffee or whatever. But it's like the cat's meow. You don't even have to turn on a pump.
Okay, Lower Michigan says he's got a statement here. I'm building a brand new tower of power with power station Bluette. With power stations Bluette, I think we're pretty close to 5,000 watt hours with the new system. I'm building that will be for my van.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I also saw a video of the Bluetti power bank station, and he's going to use it to run his whole house. And he's actually got it running through. I don't know if he's using the 240 volt or the 120, but he set it up. That video, Destination Adventures. He's a really cool guy. He also lives in BC, and he did a whole setup, and they look like a real awesome system. And I wouldn't mind having one of those. So good on you. And speaking of vans, I may as well show you that picture if I can find where I put my iPad. Oh, here it is. You're talking about, vans and off grid. Let's see. Do I have it here? Oh, actually, it's on. Sorry, I get sidetracked. It's on my computer. If we have a minute, do you have any more questions?
I got a question.
Yeah.
You've already kind of answered it, I think, but it says, how long have you been off grid and what made you decide to do it? You told us what made you decide to do it, but exactly how long have you been there actually?
Okay, on this particular property, I have been here since September 18th, 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But how long have I lived off grid? Like here. I don't know if you can see this. When you're talking about off grid and stuff. Maybe I got to take the phone off just for a sec. Sorry, guys, for my rudeness. Can you see this?
Yep.
See that van?
Yeah, that's a hippie van.
Yep. I lived in that for 6 months.
That's cool.
I lived in that for 6 months. The whole interior got it. And the great thing about it is when you're traveling around in something like that, and you go on an off-road and you get stuck in the mud, you don't sweat it. You just flip
Yeah.
open the back doors put on the burner, cook up a brew, and then have a nap. Somebody will be along. But I got here that I've been off grid, like I told you, on this one from 2016. I also did the van thing. The funny story, there's a funny story about the van thing I got to tell you. Is it okay if I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, and then after that, I got a question.
Okay. When I was in this van, this was one of my first real off-grid things because I stayed in it over winter. And then you got to realize you got your stuff in there, it's kind of packed, so you go minimalize. You start thinking of what you can do without. And you got papers that you kept and I don't know, history notes, because I'm a big history buff. I've written a book, history book and stuff like that. So I started getting rid of stuff. I went to this campground and well, it wasn't really a campground. It was a place in the woods where someone had camped before that was hunting and they had a fire pit. And I cleaned out my van and cardboard and different things and threw it in the pit and I lit it on fire and it got really hot. And at the last, I had some old newspapers and I threw them on. Well, at the particular time that I threw the newspapers on, something was in the pit buried like a propane tank and it blew. I didn't put it there. It might have been an aerosol. Well, you
Yeah.
can imagine what happened with the newspaper. It was like confetti and it flew all out of there, sprinkles everywhere, over my windshield and everything. I thought it had been shot, but after it was over, I laughed. But I was picking up pieces of paper forever. So that's my funny story. Always
All
check
right.
your fire pits.
So Herbert says, did you ever paint that trinket box that you carved in one of your recent videos?
Yes, I did. And the rule of thumb is you should leave it alone because I did go back and do the color. You know, it's got some blues and
Uh-huh.
that in it. And I gave it a wreath and I put a ring on the wreath.
Right.
But I think it would have been better if I had left it alone. But that's
Looks
what
good on
happened.
here.
That's what happened with it. And now it's like, you know, I can put things into it. And this box was only like a couple of dollars. So it
Garage
was a
sale
fun
or
little
new?
thing to do. Thanks for asking.
Was that a new box or did you get it at a garage sale or something?
We have places here called Value Village. Do you have
Okay.
places like that? Like really
We
cheap?
have flea markets and thrift stores.
Well, it's kind of like would be like your thrift store. Most stuff it's what it is from retailers that didn't sell.
Oh, okay.
So it
Yeah.
comes there new and is marked discounted. And you
Like a
can find
Ross.
anything from sleeping bags to clothes to dishes, whatever. And if I go to the city, the biggest city, which is 2.5 hour drive from here, then I make it worth my while and go and check out that shop.
We have a store like here. I don't know if it's y'all have them there. It's called Ross, and that's what they do. You can get clothes or dishes or anything, and same thing. They're like reject. They're brand new, but for some reason they got rejected from through inspection and got sent to the store. So
Yeah,
one
it's
time,
fun to look around. We also have in that big city, which is common. I've never seen these on the East Coast, so it was new to me, pawn shops.
yeah,
I don't know. You guys probably have those all the time, but for me,
yeah, we
I
do.
never seen those. So sometimes you'll go to those and you can get like a chainsaw for a couple $100 and there's nothing wrong with it. You know,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things here. One of the other
So
things when we're talking about being off grid, I did was I spent 3 years after the van. I came across to the West. I spent 3 years in a Skylark trailer, going from 4 slot to 4 slot. So that gave me experience too. It's because too when I was growing up, that's all I did was follow dad around and go on these long expeditions, and it's just something I love. I think I think all of us are part of our past. So what we did when we were growing up affects us about what we like to do, right?
Yep. So Adventures of Ken says Ross is good, but Ollie's bargain is way better. And then Endless Adventure says I like Ollie's. And then Herb says, question. He says, what do you use for internet service for your off grid home?
This hub here, which I got on right now, but if it's lit up green. I don't know if you can see that. See the green lights here?
Yeah, we can see it.
So it's a hub. I don't know if if anyone there has Starlink, how that operates. But this goes and beams up. There's a big mountain over there, and it's a relay tower on it. So it will connect me to the internet. It gives me two options, a 5G or 2.4. So right now, if I take my computer and click on the internet here, it'll come up and I'll go hook to that. My phone that I'm doing the live on right now is just going through my data. It's got a lot of extra data on it that I didn't really need, but it was part of the plan, so I couldn't get any lower. So that's why I'm not using the hub on that right now.
Cool. Do you have anything you want to show us before more questions come in?
Just we were talking about, I can show you this. You've seen this. This is an old planer and a groove and tongue. It makes groove and tongue boards. It was my grandfather's. You guys probably seen instruments like this before. It's got a little blade here and it grooves the boards so you can make groove and tongue to do fours, etc. I'm a big family person, so I try to save everything.
Yeah, I'm real sentimental, especially with my kids stuff.
Yeah, I've saved all of that, and hopefully my son will feel the same way about it when I'm gone. This is a little car. How many of you made a little race car?
Yep, I did.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad because my son and I made this because when he was doing the little cub races, he had to make a car, and he's like, "Mom, can you help me?" And I didn't think it would go, but it worked pretty good.
Yeah. Adventures of Ken says, how does hygiene work off grid?
Very easy. Shower. And if you don't shower, like you can do hot water on demand, you can do the shower bag, you can do the fifth wheel shower if you want. You can do an outdoor shower. I prefer the outdoor showers, but in wintertime, of course, that's a little nippy. But they say cold water baths is good for your soul, so I don't know. And there's no issue. If you want to just wash your hair like I did in one video, you just dunk the water over your head. It's not one thing I would like to get. Like there's two things I'm planning on doing as a sauna, and I'd like to have an outdoor tub to do an outdoor heated tub.
Mm-hmm.
People are buying those plastic hot tubs, but
yeah.
I'm not. If I, you guys seen the woods out there. Even if I leveled off a spot, can you imagine how long anything plastic would last around this place? my like a woodpecker, a pileated woodpecker would come along and bust it on me. But there's no problem for. And here's the other great thing too. Because I live so remote, the jobs are industrial. Like I was doing mining. And when you do those jobs, you go to camp. I was on a 4 on, 3 off, and you've got a luxury apartment. So you're showering and living the high life there during the week. But now I'm not doing that right now. I'm taking a break from that.
So we have I don't know if you know who Mission Discover is. He's been on
Yes,
here a
I
couple
do.
times.
He's a
Okay, he just
cool,
popped
cool
in.
guy.
Yeah, everybody likes him. He's in. Said he might be popping in and out as he can.
Well, that's
Um,
awesome. Thank you.
Nomadic Camping says I would bathe in a cattle trough.
Yep. I've seen those for sale, and that's the other thing I've been considering too. I got a swimming pool, and like I say, there's a dugout there, and I'm surrounded by lakes. There's so many lakes, like in the summer, like hygiene. It's easy. That's one of your least worries. I think the biggest thing would be not being prepared for winter and freezing to death if you didn't have
Yeah.
wood to buy.
You know, there was one time, now this isn't living off grid necessarily, but I was living in an old storefront building for about over a year, probably a couple years. I had no hot water at all. I did have running water, but I would heat all my water up in a couple of coffee pots and I would pour it in a big plastic tub.
Mhm.
And then I would always start, with my hair and my face, get all that stuff first. And I'd work my way down and do my feet last. So anyway, by the time I was done, nobody ever knew it. I mean, nobody would ever know. It's not like I never smelled. I didn't look different or anything yet. It was just a little bit harder than stepping in a hot shower.
Yeah, I've done that in the winter because you just heat up your water. And then another thing you do is like I've done with the snow. It takes a lot more snow, of course. But one thing is if you take snow that's frozen and has a little bit of ice in it, it seems to amount to more water in your pot. I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
that instead of just the fluffy snow. And we had a
Right.
good consistency this year. So when I put my big pot on the stove and it had that bit of ice in it, I don't know why it didn't evaporate as much, I guess. There was more the molecules. It's like the question I always have had about molecules and ice and snow. You know how you go skating on a lake, right?
Yeah.
And your skates make those cuts in the ice.
Uh-huh.
Where do they go when the ice melts? Sorry, I'm just silly. Like they got to be splitting an atom.
Yeah.
Like where did Sorry, but
Yeah.
I am silly. Now who is a John Deere fan? Do I got any John Deere fans?
Manny John. Let me say something real quick. I want to say thank you to Woodsman for inviting everybody to come in and chat. I want to challenge somebody because I don't know why nobody ever will, but you can come in here live and you can ask her a question on your own. If you'll just click that link that Woodman's putting out, you can ask a couple questions, talk a little bit, and then you can go back out and we'll take the next one. And go ahead with the John Deere thing, and then we have a question.
Is anybody a John Deere fan? Do we
I
got
am.
any thumbs up? Because I used to own a John Deere. I found this once. I don't know. Again, I got to take this off. Can you see this here?
Yes.
It says John Deere on it. It's got a deer, and it's a letter carrier down at the bottom, 1849.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I saw that on the back of a salesman's truck for $20, it was sold.
I don't blame you. Do you know how much
But
it's
I'm a
worth?
big John Deere fan because I had one. I had a 4500 hydrostatic shift, and I didn't bother bringing it across country with me. I wish I kind of had of went, but I had too many things to haul as it was. But man, I love that machine. I used to
Yeah.
wax it. That's how much I love that machine.
Herbert Outdoor says, what is the wildlife like where you are at? And do you hunt, garden, etc.?
The wildlife here is good. The place that I was before I came here did have more activity. The reason why is it was in a river valley and there were more fields and farms and the animals were drawn to it. And warmer weather, I don't know, but there were more stag deer and more sightings of bears and stuff. Here, there's still lots of wildlife, but You have to be off-road. Very rarely, like right now, you can drive down the road and it's a chance you'll see something. The animals are pretty smart. They'll stay off the road. Of course, there's this period of time until June that they're more scarce because they're having babies and they don't come out. And they have patterns. If it's dry, they're near a lake. So I guess I'm getting off topic, but for me, I say this place, even though it has lots of wildlife, the sightings that I capture are less. Does that make sense?
I
So
think
there's
so.
probably more here than I know about, but they're less
Right.
likely for me to get them on camera because of their habits.
Okay, so that question leads into my next question, which is how did you become so friendly with the animals? Because I don't know how long it takes you to get some of those pictures, but there was one of them where birds were eating out of your hand or something. I can't remember.
Birds out of my hand and on my head. Uh, I actually, if you go back to one of my videos too, early on, there's a cow and a calf moose that I'm talking to, and they, if I hadn't have left, they would have never left. I think it's just instinct. I'm a spiritual person. Um, I know some people might think that's kind of wonky, but I have a connection that way. And animals kind of know that I'm not a threat. I talk in a soft voice, and I don't know. They just gravitate to me. And there's things like eagles and different things like spirit animals that just seem to come to me. And sometimes it can be at a point when you're having a bad day, because not everybody has a day where they're just jolly 24/7. You try to be. I wake up happy, I go to bed happy, believe it or not. But there are days that you just, you might be discouraged about something or something else. It's usually outside forces. And those spirit animals will come to me. It's just natural. I think anyone can do it. You just have to be uninhibited and you just have to allow it to happen, I guess. You just have to be out there. I think anybody
So
can do it.
Adventures with Ken says, how many tarragon are there near you?
What's a tarragon?
I have no idea. That's what I was wondering. Not sure what a tarragon is.
Maybe
Ken,
does he mean dinosaurs?
I have no idea.
Maybe he means dinosaurs. And there are no
Yep.
dinosaurs
Nomadic
that
says,
I
gotta
know of.
go, y'all. Good live, you guys. Thank you, Nomadic. Appreciate you coming in, man.
Thank you. I don't know what he means. There's no live dinosaurs. There's fossils, lots of fossils, because that's why there's lots of oil. But if he can tell me what he means,
Right.
then I'll gladly answer.
Henry Leslie, Vermont says, love feeding the birds during the winter months.
Yeah.
And Ken, okay, here's what he says. Ptarmigan?
Oh, ptarmigan. Yeah, we have those.
Okay,
We
I
have
have no idea what
ptarmigan.
that is either.
Those are like grouse that I show, but they're white and well,
They're
in the
like
winter
what?
time, they're white and they got a little bit of red near their nose, I think. The problem with them here is you'll see them, but boy, are they skittish. They will fly off right away. I mean, in order to get a shot at one of those, you would have to be quicker than any of the westerns I've seen. But I've seen them. I've seen quite a few. The further north you go, the more there is. But they blend in so well, you can't see, you can't get a shot, or you can't get them on camera. They're gone in a flash.
So Herbert now says, I for one have to thank Connie for opening up her lifestyle to us and sharing. It is very much appreciated.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys showed up. I really appreciate that kind of support. People taking time out of their day like you said, when they're busy to support one another. It's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
I can show you something else too before we talk about more off grid.
Okay.
My painting, I think the reason, you look for sometimes reason why people do things. And the reason why I paint is because of my dad and mom. See this old painting? Have
Oh yeah.
you guys ever seen paint by number?
Yes.
Okay, I painted this when I was 11 years old, and
Wow.
it was a Christmas present from mom and dad because we lived the old fashioned way. You didn't get flooded with Christmas gifts. You got a special one and you got your stocking, and you appreciated it. And I think because of that painting, like I had that one and a moose, and I enjoyed it so much that then after that, it was like, yeah, I like doing that. So I got my dad to thank for that. And you don't want to know how old that painting is. I will not tell you. But I
Oh
painted
good.
it when I was 11.
All right. I mean, it looks like kind of rustic paint, so
It's oil.
I was just
Those
kidding. I was
little,
trying to make a joke.
I sorry. Well, to me, oil paint is rustic. When it was in
Okay,
those
so
little things.
I got another question. What is the weather like throughout the year? Like, do y'all experience actually 4 long seasons, or is one longer than the other, or how does that work there?
Um, I think the shortest would be the summers.
Oh, I wish we had that problem.
Because uh, here here in the mountains and stuff, it's much like the East Mountains in Quebec, on the Gaspé, the Chic Mountains. You get 6 months of winter easy. Now, see,
Man,
when I moved here, the first year I came on this lot off grid, I was very fortunate because I was in a tent and I was living outside until my boat got moved. And there was no snow that year. It was the only year I've been here that there was no snow, and there was only a little bit of frost, ice on the ground. So I picked a good year to move.
yeah.
And the spring, like we're in spring now, it'll be like till May, the end of May, before you actually get into any summer. You'll get that like mid June to August, and then you're back to shifting to fall. My friends, they have a joke. The friend, my friends will be on breakup soon in their jobs. So that's when I get to hang out with more people then. And they always say that there's a couple of seasons, you got July and August is summer, and the rest is winter.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I mean, if I drive 11 hours, which sounds like a lot, I can be in a desert. And there's a this province has all kinds of different topography. It takes me probably 6 hours to get to the ocean. I'm not used to that part because I lived on the ocean all my life, but I don't really miss it. And that's why I built this camp. The other reason too is it brings me closer to my dad and my family, because this is the stuff I did when I was growing up. So it kind of adds to the thing. You come into the world as a baby, you go out as a baby. So
Hmm.
I'm going back to what I know.
Okay, Herbert T says, have the black fly started up yet?
Yes. Just today, before I went live, I heard two mosquitoes and one landed on my nose. That's because my nose is really too big, but I swatted that pretty quick. And as I was telling Randy, there was a bumblebee. Even though there's snow on the ground, there was a bumblebee, flew by twice here by the camp. I tried to get the sound on video, but he was a little bit shy. And I did see a couple of moths out. And so it'll soon be full blown. And when there's more water, there's more places for them to breed. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, you just said that. Look, one just came in now. Bye.
Okay, campfires and dirty tires just came in. Welcome in. Glad you could
Welcome.
make it. My next question. Uh, okay, so you live there by yourself. You say you lived in your boat and you lived in a tent.
And a
Did you
trailer
ever?
and a
Yeah.
van.
So did you ever? Yeah, but specifically the boat and especially the tent. Did you ever have any fear of people showing up and causing trouble, or animals like the bear or anything?
No, because when I did when I moved here, the bears were already ready to go to hibernation. So I was
Hmm.
lucky that way. And with my boat, I had to climb up into it, get on the swim platform and climb in, and there was no way they could get in. I'm not I wasn't scared of humans. I guess I built this instinct into me. I can handle myself and I don't panic and I know what to do if somebody is going to bother me. I have no fear of that. I am a survivor of a home invasion, and
Hmm.
so I have no fear of people that way, and nobody bothers you. I think you'd have to worry about if you were on a off road somewhere and you were closer to like a city and somebody needed something and there were things going on, then you might be at risk. But
Right.
you should be always having an emergency button with you, a phone that's when I'm outside, even here, not for humans, but for myself, when I'm running a saw, my phone's on me. It's always where I can reach it. You've seen those little cases too that I carry around my neck,
Uh-huh.
and you should always be prepared. The thing that'll save you the most is not to panic. Fear is your worst enemy. You'll do things in fear that will kill you. You always be level headed and remain calm, and it will save your life.
Right. I agree with that. I have panic
Yeah,
attacks sometimes.
yeah, well, panic attacks come with the territory. The world creates a lot of anxieties, and sometimes we're just releasing those anxieties. So you can't be too hard on yourself. Just believe in yourself, and you'll be okay.
So when did you start your YouTube channel, and what was your reason for starting it up?
I had videos on YouTube in 2010, but I didn't release them. I was doing them because I was away from home, and my father and family never really got to see here. Well, my sister did. She moved out west as well, but not close to me. She's quite a ways away still. And I wanted him to see that, and I want my family to see, hey, look at this. This is cool. That's cool. I have had my brother's been out and my son's been out, but now I'm forgetting the question.
Why did you start your channel? When and why?
And then I did all these diaries. They were kind of like diaries to home. And I
Hmm.
did some in memory of some people that I lost. And then I thought, well, maybe I should just make a couple of them public. And I never really started my channel with the intent of being famous or getting certain numbers or being a hit. I just did it because I love doing it and I like creating videos. It's
Yeah.
hard though. Once you've been doing it for a while though, it is hard not to get caught up in that hype. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that
Right.
because it kind of takes away from the enjoyment that you're having. So that's
Let's
how
see.
that would happen.
Herbert says, "What is your biggest challenge living off grid?"
Hmm. I guess you can't, it's work. I guess that's part of it. You know, you can take breaks, you can enjoy the nature because you're in it all the time. But the work part, you cannot actually just say the heck with it. You know, if the wind blows and a tarp comes off of a building or something breaks, you got to fix it because water damage is a serious thing. You know, there's always something to do, and maybe not everybody likes that, and that's why maybe people prefer an apartment or different things because there's a lot of work to it. But you
Yep.
have to enjoy the work. So that would be the biggest challenge.
So we have Mission Discover here. Let's see if I can bring him up.
How's it going, everybody?
What's up,
Hello.
man? Did you have any questions or comments or anything?
No, I'm just here to hang out as typical. I'm glad to listen in and give input as always.
All right. Let's see here. Hang on a minute. I'm slow at this.
I don't have any. I don't even have any fishing rods for him. All my fishing rods are out at my other vehicle into my truck camper from when I'm ready to go. But I can tell you that the char are ready to come. Once the ice comes off of the water, they're up in the low to the surface because they've been down all winter, and they're up there, and they'll be there for about a month, and then they're going to go down deep again. So if you want to char, the best time, easiest time to get them is before the May long weekend here. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully I'll get to go.
Well, there you go.
Hang on, I'm looking at my next question here. Hello. Oh, do you do any work outside of like regular work? Do you do any, or do
I
you
did.
just work on your place?
I did for a couple of years, 22 to 24. I did contracting I looked after the contracts for a gold mine, and when it shut down, I would organize all the contractors, a couple hundred contractors, for their jobs and their bookings and their rooms and planning and all the stuff that they're going to do. So I did do that. By the profession, I am sales and marketing business degree. So jobs are easy when I'm the only one in my family that chose that route, but their jobs are plentiful for that. So I tend to bounce around to what I like. And right now I'm just taking a break and I'm looking after my dog more. That's why. So that's what
And
I
what
did
kind of
last.
dog is it? What kind of dog?
It's a Shih Tzu. I got her in Nova Scotia when she was a pup and brought her across. She's 15 years old now, and her hind legs, she's losing her mobility, and she's just, how you look at a person and they're the same. That's the
Uh-huh.
only difference with her. So she needs help. I got her a wheelchair, wheels and stuff, but it's going to come to that point where I have to make that decision. So that's why I'm off right now. Now, right now she's sleeping. Some days she'll sleep a little bit more than others, but I try to bring her outside, and that's where a lot of my time is going to.
Yeah. Mission, what are you working on back there?
I was just looking around, seeing if I could locate some things. I've been doing a lot of projects. I'll show you what I've been up to today. For anybody who's
Okay.
used my channel, this will be a special secret sneak peek. So I showed you last week when I was on here some of my Gaiotaku fish printing gear that I just got, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did this one today.
Oh, sweet.
And I
Wait.
caught two today. I did a brown trout and a rainbow trout. That was the rainbow trout, and here's the brown trout.
Okay,
Wow.
wait, what do you do? Do you like put ink on the fish and lay it on the paper?
Yeah, it's food safe, like non-toxic natural ink, and you have to do this weird sort of techniques. Those I did 5 attempts today. Those were my last 2 and my best 2. So I'm making progress, and I'll do a whole video on what I learned at some point per my typical style. But those are my first good attempts from today. So I went out, caught a couple of trout this afternoon, and then went and did that.
Wow.
And then I cooked them up. So
I bet you the pressure point of how you place the ink is important, isn't it?
yeah, I figured that out very quickly. Here, I'll show you one of the first one I did, and you'll see all around the edges, it's super runny. Like this is just a big splotch, and up at the top here, this is just a gigantic big splotch as well. And I figured out that the ink likes to pool in any sort of crevices, which means it likes to pool underneath the fins and likes to pool up in the gill area. So that was one of the biggest things I learned today as far as what made me get a little bit better.
What is the purpose of those pictures?
It's kind of like if you go hunting or if you catch a big fish and you bring it home and it's like a memorable catch and you want to commemorate it, a lot of people will do some sort of like taxidermy or mount it. And then what you do is you lose a lot of the usefulness of that fish, and you have to do this whole process, and you can't get all the meat off of it, and it's just not as like useful. You don't get the full use out of it. So by doing this, I can have kind of a commemorative version of the fish, but I still get to eat all of it. I washed all the ink off after I printed them, and then I cooked them up, and I just had them for dinner. So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool, but because my idea would have ruined it, because I was thinking, man, if he only could split the fish and do the skeleton, that
would be cool.
Like an X-ray version of it, but then you probably would lose your meat, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it. That's a good idea that I might want to try.
Yeah, like the skeleton, it would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to be careful what you mention around mission, because
that's why I did it. Yep. That's why I did it, because he's like me. He's all up for it. You go.
Yeah. He'll try anything that comes up that finds interesting. He'll try it.
And that's what I like about some of the community people, because the youth are really ahead of their time, and they're really getting into this, and I think that's so awesome.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
But so much better than playing video games all day every day.
Yeah. It's just off to a really good start. It's impressive to see that, and by the time they're as old as I am, man, they'll be ruling the world.
So Minnesota Mike has a question for you, Connie. It says, how many cords of wood did you burn this winter?
I would say this winter I burnt more. It's probably around 5 or 6. I think you can get away with 4 here, but this year we had a lot more damp and cold, and I don't use other sources of heat. I mean, I can use heaters. I can use propane, but I tend not to. I don't bother with that. I like using the wood. That's another reason why I couldn't live in an apartment, because, man, I've been born with a wood stove, right? It's just something that it's in you.
Do you have a wood stove in that room?
Yep, right here. I put that old belly one in. Well, not belly, but can you see it?
It's a little dark.
Okay.
We can see it kind of.
You can see the pipe there. I got one in here, yeah, for sure. I was trying to find my that I had. I had one of those old iron things, but it's not here. You know what? I'm sure if Henry Leslie Vermont's still here, he knows those heavy irons that they used to put on stoves with the wooden handles that you would press things with. I
Right.
have one of those. And I also have different stuff off of my dad's fishing vessel, like buoys and different things that I kept and in memory and
Oh,
stuff
that's
like that.
awesome. What was
Yeah,
that? What was that?
that is a net buoy. It's an
Okay.
aluminum net buoy. I just painted the top.
Yeah.
And I got the wooden pulleys that you use, the snatch blocks they call them. I have those and different things like that. And then there was pictures I wanted to show
Okay.
of some off-grid stuff that I did before. Um, so some of the things I've done, like why I use a chainsaw. My father, I actually didn't learn a chainsaw till I was in my 20s because I was scared of a chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like, that's the other thing again. You're intimidated by what you see others do, and you kind of block yourself from trying things. And I was
Right.
always nervous of them because people made me feel like they were gonna kill me. But they are dangerous if you don't use them right, like anything. But my dad, one day I was going by and he had a big poplar, big birch tree down. And I said, Dad, I always watch you and I always help you, but I want to use it. Is it really as bad as they say it is? And then he said, try it. Just make sure you hold on it tight and you'll be fine. And I did, and I was hooked. So this is me when I don't know if you can see this in the picture. Can you see these?
Yeah. Like a 4-wheeler or something.
Yeah, that's a boogie trailer in behind. There's a log, a 24-foot log. There's a boogie trailer there. And that's
Yeah.
come along hoisting the log up in a tree to come down on the trailer. So that's where like I got my stuff from my silvicultured land. There's what a boogie trailer looks like. You see that?
Yep.
It's got like 4 wheels on it. So if you ever want to do something off grid and you want to get wood somewhere, those are the things to use, because what happens is they're built. We built our own stuff. We welded our own trailers and built them. What happens is if that front tire hits a stump, the back tire will flip over and you will pass the stump. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So if you ever want to do little miniature logging on your property and you don't have a tractor, that's the way to go. There's my John Deere.
Yep.
It took me a long time to get a winch for it because people were always farming and not doing that. And I've built bridges before. I built that bridge. I built it in the wind. I built a couple. I had to get them cleared by Department of Labor. I got some of them are still standing. One I had to deactivate. I actually built a tiny bridge out here on my property, but you have to have like special permits and stuff. And I never did anything like that in my life before. But again, it's not having the fear to try something. And if you fail, you fail, but at least you tried it and you learned something from it. Here's my very first building I built.
Oh man, that looks really nice.
That's a shop for my tractor. I built it out of hemlock lumber. And again, I did not know anything about building. My father taught me how to do the foundation and how to make rafters. My dad was really good like that. And plus I had brothers. Hey, has anybody, speaking of fishing, like Mission Discovery? Sorry, I'm all over the place. Just tell me to stop if it's a problem.
It's all right. Mission standing by. So
I'm here.
Mission, have you ever fished skates in the ocean?
Yes, if you watch. I think it's. Hold on, I'm thinking. I think it's my most recent. Yeah, it's my most recent long form video. I caught probably 13 of them. The last time I was out saltwater fishing for in Ocean City, which I did a whole documentary on. It's a whole week worth, but over the week I caught like 14 of them throughout the week. So
Oh, cool. I got to check that out. Man, what a fight they put on. Isn't it awesome?
oh yeah, I mean they just use that wingspan and kind of they have
Yeah.
so much surface area to pull with.
Yeah, I
Hey,
had never tried it before, and one time my brother says, "Come on out in the bay, you got to try this." And I'm like, "Man, I don't know." And it was a blast. So, see, that's what I love about YouTube. It's so cool that I can stand here and talk to someone that actually can relate to something I did. It's like,
yeah.
wow.
Hey, real quick, Mission. Is the video you talking about? Are you talking about that was the biggest fish you caught? Is that the video?
Yep, that in that
Okay.
video I also caught the ray. Yeah, it's that video.
Okay. Yeah, he had to have his mom and dad help him bring in that big old fish.
Yeah,
was
it was
pretty
a
cool.
triple digit fish.
That's awesome. Like, it's so cool. I know, like Randy says, he likes Canada, like for scenery. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of better places that are even more beautiful than where I'm at. But this is on the coast where I was born. Have you ever seen this place? Oh, it's probably not going to come in, is it? It's not going to
Uh,
show up.
go
No,
back
it's
the
not
other
going
way. Go back the other way. The other way. Twist it.
to.
Yeah, right there. No,
Can't see
it
it.
was showing up.
Anyway, that's a big rock. It's a big rock out on the peninsula, and if it had showed up, it would have been beautiful. So again, to the background of off grid, that's why I'm used to off grid. There we are going camping with a big old Buick Parisienne with the trailer and canoe hooked on it.
Yeah,
Like, is that classic or what?
looks like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, exactly. And we did that lots. And there's a funny story behind that too. Like, I'm sorry to get off track, but it's nice to talk to people. Picture that on Parliament Hill in Ottawa, if you know where that is. And it happened. Here's off-grid stuff. Whoops.
Hey, let me ask you a question real quick. Herbert says, "Are you anywhere near Algonquin Park?"
No, that's in Ontario, and that's oh man, probably four and a half days away. Ontario is the biggest province in Canada, and when I was coming across, it probably took me 2.5 days to drive through it. It's just woods after woods, but that place is awesome. I hear if anyone wants to go there fishing and canoeing and stuff. I got lots of relatives that way, but it's a ways from here.
Tucker and I says, "Hi, Connie."
Hey, guess what? Tucker, Gary, hi. I was going to go down in the swamp and get the swans and let me show everybody because this is what I was planning on. I had pink. Just hold on. I was going to go down into the swamp like I told Randy and show everybody that the waterfowl have arrived. So when I was here, I had this color. I didn't think that would work. So I went back to my cabin and I got Gary's gift. And I was going to wear that down in the video. So there you go, Gary. I was going to get dressed up for the pond down there.
That's cool. Let me,
Yeah,
Mission.
Gary's a good fellow.
I want to ask Mission. Let's see, real quick. What else are you working on over yonder behind the scenes?
I'm cleaning some parts to the bow. So my little wrist sling that goes on here. You also put stabilizers on the other side of this. This little I guess it's kind of a nut and a bolt in one. But this thing was a little bit rusty, so I just took it off, took a Scotch-Brite pad to it, took some mineral oil, cleaned off the threads, and got it in better condition. Just something I've been wanting to do but been putting off, and I'm standing here, so I might as well.
Cool. Hey, Connie, do you do any hunting out there yourself? That's a good question.
I have done the grouse and that, but believe it or not, as much big game as there has been here, I have not taken anything. And I got to change that because it's good meat for the winter and stuff. Now, the reason why I haven't taken it is not just because I don't want to, it's because I haven't had the time. It takes time when you're hunting, and you got to put effort into it. You can't just drive. Well, it's illegal here anyway. Drive the road and shoot something. You have to make plans. The last time that I was hunting back east, was there. They had two tags. You could either get a doe and a buck, or both, or whatever it's called, in two different zones. And that's the last time that I did a big game. I actually have a picture of it here. I showed Randy, but I don't think it's probably good for YouTube to show my deer pictures.
Yeah. Do you do anything with a bow?
No, all of my brothers do, and my father did. They've had the seasons for the bears and the deer, and they have done that and harvested it with a bow, but I haven't. I could never. I wanted to. Dad had a compound bow, but I never could get the pull right. I just was too. I guess what I learned from Mission Discovery is, because I didn't take the time to learn that, is the tension has to be set different, probably for each user, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And he can explain that. And for them, they were stronger than me, and I couldn't get that release properly. I would tend to drop the
I
dart.
never knew there was different tensions for different people either.
Yeah. And if I had picked up on that, maybe I would have pursued it more. But you got to be really careful, because I know also injuring animals that way, you got to be good at your shot. And, I've heard where they've actually bounced off of skulls or had injuries, because you got to know what you're doing. And I didn't trust myself.
Hey, Mission, can you show what she's talking about on the weight thing?
So there's a couple different ways to adjust weight. If you change your draw length, it's actually on a compound bow, that is. If you change your draw length, it's actually going to change the weight, because these cams up here are what the string's rotated around. And by changing where it's attached to the cam, you change your draw length, because if more of it's wound up on the cam, you can draw further back and the cam will open up more. And the amount the cam turns is the amount that the limb's going to bend. Thus, the weight kind of changes because of that. And then also, there's these bolts, which is another piece that is kind of rusty, as you can see, and I was just about to clean off there. If you tighten these down, what that does is it pushes the limbs further into the pocket there,
Okay.
and kind of pushes it out this way. It pulls against the string more, because if you push this piece down into the pocket, this piece comes forward a little bit and pulls tighter on the string. So you can either tighten these down or lengthen your draw to get heavier. So this one is pretty light for me. This is set at like 50 pounds, which is pretty light for me. But when I get a new one, I think I'm going to get a 65 to 70 pound bow.
Is that determined by your strength or your height and weight, or what's that determined by?
So you realistically want to, as far as I'm aware, in my own personal experience, which obviously I'm not like the world's greatest archer, but what I know is that you want to draw the heaviest thing you can to where you can maintain good form, let's say with 60 shots. If you can take 60 shots at that weight with good form, then you want to do that. That's the weight you want to do. So this is light for me, which there's no problem with going lighter, but I don't even have to, like, you really want to lean into it and then open up into it if you have a heavier draw. But this I can just do with my arms. I don't really need to do anything. So this is definitely a little bit light with me, which there's no problem. But heavier bows are faster. You can get better distance and accuracy with them. So you want to do the heaviest thing that you realistically can do.
Right.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Okay, I got a question, Connie.
Yeah, sure.
Do you get many visitors, like friends and stuff like that, out there where you live?
No, I don't. If I want to, I can go out, like I said, to the city where some of my friends work. But most of the time, like a lot of jobs here are seasonal, like especially in the logging. Mining is full time, but the logging is seasonal, so they'll be on breakup. So that's when I'll see some of them more and get to go on fishing and stuff like that, trips. I talk to my family, all the time, every day. That's a great invention about phones and stuff like that. So there's a lot of solitude, but I don't mind solitude. I mean,
Right.
maybe when I was younger, it probably would have bothered me, but hey, it's what I want to do right now. Maybe there'll be a time when I change that feeling, but it allows you to figure a lot of things out when you're on your own. It's a great enjoyment. You have to learn to love your own company.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like hanging out with me sometimes, but not really.
Well, I know, like if
So,
you go fishing, like in the summer, sometimes I'll go with Eric. You've seen him on my videos, but
yeah.
he'll be getting on breakup soon. It is funner when you're doing some things with someone else, for sure.
So, what's the biggest misconception or misunderstanding of living off grid?
I
That
think
you,
I think it's what we already talked about. That people that, well, I don't want to generalize it, and I don't want to offend anyone. But for me, let's say for me, the thing that I notice is people will think that you are poor and that you are not clean.
yeah,
And those are two things that are not true.
right. I can see
You,
people thinking that.
yeah, because I'm not hooked up to the grid, the utilities and that. But because I'm not doesn't mean that I'm suffering, doesn't mean that it's not going well. It's by choice. So
Right.
it's just different. People, until you do it, you don't really know all the ins and outs. So I think that's the myth. And another myth, everybody has a different definition of off grid. And it's okay to do that because we all have different feelings about different things. Somebody might think off grid is living in a van full time. Somebody might
Right.
think off grid's going to the beach for the weekend. Somebody might think it's what I'm doing. That's all okay. But true off grid was, I think someone told me, was meant to be no utilities and having to walk to wherever you were and not have a vehicle. So I guess it's up to what you define it as.
Right. Have you had? I'm asking a couple more questions, and then if you got some stuff you want to show, you can.
Yeah.
But and anybody can ask questions. I'm getting pretty close to the end of mine.
Yeah,
Have,
I got some off grid pictures to show for the talk.
okay. Have you ever had any close encounters with wildlife, like scary ones, deadly ones?
Yeah, I have. Bear. I was deer hunting, and I went down to my blind, and a bear came out after I got there, and I saw the bear right away, and I knew it was a sow, and it was the right time of year, but I didn't know she had cubs. She had triplets, and the only reason I knew that she did was because they climbed the tree right away. And I had never seen them climb so fast. They were like up 40 feet. and one of them was just hanging on. But then I looked and she was gone. So I knew she was circling me. And that's when I felt, yeah, this is going to be iffy. So I backed out because I
Mm-hmm.
was on top of the cubs and they don't like that. And
Right.
that was the situation. And then another time was fishing with my dad, fishing perch. And a few of them were on the bank. And I went way up to the other end of the lake because in this particular lake, the fish schooled around and they never stayed in one spot. And I was trying to chase them so I could get more than dad, the trout. And when I was coming back, you always know when a bear is following you. You're keen, your hairs go up on your neck yourself. And he was
Mm.
following me. And I knew, so I just kept walking. But before I got to dad, he stood up on a tree and he let this ungodly roar. And that was close too. I've had, and a cougar. I was going to hike a mountain and I went in and I had stopped my vehicle before the trailhead because I was trying to find the trailhead. There was actually 2 ways to go in. And I stopped my vehicle at the first lake to take photographs. And thank God I did. It wasn't my plan, but I did. And when I got back in my vehicle to go around the corner, there was the cougar. He had been coming down the road, or she. And if I had have decided, which I was going to do, park my vehicle and walk from that trailhead to the other, that didn't feel comfortable. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I'm going to come back another day and walk up there. I had my whistle with me. I always take a whistle. Oh, you have
Mm-hmm.
to make noise and stuff, but I don't trust cats. There's
Right.
been lots of similar situations like that, but again, just be aware of. Don't be a threat to the animal, and you should be okay. I just don't want to meet a grizzly. I don't want to
Right.
surprise a grizzly because you might not have a chance with those.
Okay, so I got a question that you and Mission both can answer. It's actually something I had written down. So everybody that thinks about living off grid, the first thing they think is you live off fish out of a pond. So do you fish much? What's your favorite fish to catch and what's your favorite fish to eat? You can go first and then Mission can answer his.
I'd have to say, even though you can get really big fish here, like freshwater char and kokanee and all that, the best is a pan-fried trout. Just a regular rainbow cutthroat, regular small pan-fried trout. They just taste really good.
Are you able
And
to catch them on your property?
no, I don't have any on my property, but I can go I could easily walk to a lake where I could get them. But I don't live off of fish 24/7. I grew up living off of fish and ocean fish and fresh fish, but I'm not out there like one of the great Wild West women and men just living off of the land totally. I
Yeah.
could, I have, I could, but I'm not doing that right now. But here's the thing, take into consideration that I am ready to. If this world goes to hell in a handbasket tomorrow, I can do it.
That's cool.
But
Mission,
sorry for
what's
the
your
AT double hockey sticks.
it's all right. Mission, what's your favorite fish to catch and what is your favorite fish to eat and why?
So my favorite fish to catch is always a tough question to answer because, as you know, and a lot of people who watch me know, I fish for literally everything. So there's just so many options. Um, but it'd be tough for me to not say either smallmouth because there's just a awesome community around bass fishing as a whole, and around me, there's really 2 main options: smallmouth and largemouth bass. And smallmouth typically live in rivers. whereas largemouth are more pond fish. There is some crossover, but this is just general stuff. And I would rather fish rivers than ponds. And then my alternative to that would be brook trout, because brook trout are a beautiful fish. They're native to PA, which means that some of the places you get to fish are very remote, very super scenic, and they're very aggressive fish. And I have a lot of fun with brook trout. So those are my favorites to catch. My favorite to eat is kingfish. I've said that for a long time. Kingfish is a saltwater fish. They're almost like the bluegill or perch of the ocean. They're everywhere. I catch them in North Carolina. I know people who catch them in New Jersey. I've caught them in Maryland and Delaware. They're just all over the place. You can really easily catch them from the surf, and I love their taste. From freshwater, my favorite is probably similar to Connie, is probably trout, which is what I had today for dinner. Those fish that I printed up was a brown trout and a rainbow trout, and then I had them for dinner. So I've got a fresh opinion of trout on the lips, if you will.
Randy,
You know,
if you were to ask me about ocean fish, I've had a lot, and I used to think halibut was the best tasting, but I caught some lingcod off of the Pacific, and that's the best ocean fishing taste fish that I've eaten in my life is lingcod.
I've never even been to an ocean.
You gotta go. Ocean fishing is awesome.
Yeah, never been to one. Never been to Pennsylvania, never been even anywhere close, but I'm hoping to go there the end of May. And to Tony Random Adventures, and then hoping to meet Mission Discover when I'm there, and maybe a couple other people. But as far as here, we have trout everywhere. People come from all over the United States to catch fish here, to trout. And that's the only fish I can seem to catch if I really wanted to catch them. But I don't like the way they taste personally, because they're so strong. Unless I can cook them on an open fire with a grill and all the juices kind of seep out as it's cooking, and then it don't taste quite as fishy.
I think it depends on your location. For me, I know it does. I fished on the East Coast, and where I was fishing, there was a lot of still waters for the brook trout, and they had a more of a muddy taste. You don't notice it when you're living there full time, but when you come west and the water's clearer and more glacier, the fish taste clearer. So the water does affect taste and their diet. That's my opinion. I'm not an expert, but that's my experience.
I never even thought about that, but it kind of makes sense. So Adventures with Ken says he's been waiting for a while. Connie, would you ever go back to living in a city or just outside the city, back on grid for any reason?
If my health failed, I'd probably, if I couldn't look after myself, I would probably have to go where there's more facilities. But my wish is that I can just sit under a tree and go that way. Send me down a river floating. Praise be.
Yep. All right. I think that's it for the questions right now. You can show us a few more things.
I just wanted to show you the off-grid things, because I know, like, I kind of got off track talking. This is a solar panel.
Yep.
And that's the first one that I set up. Again, I was intimidated by it. I thought it was a lot of work, like complicated, but again, it's not. I bought the panel, but it didn't have the converter, the inverter kit and all that you hook up the wires behind. And I didn't realize that. That's part of the reason why it was on sale, I guess. But you can go on Amazon and buy them. And it was just a matter of drilling the hole and running the wires and hooking it up to my batteries. And that thing keeps a lot of batteries charged up to 14 volts and whatever all the time. And so I'm going to get another one to put on the other side. That's the full sun. So again, don't be intimidated by solar panels. that attach for your house going off grid. It's something that you can do, anybody can do. You had asked about some of the things I had built. Well, like chicken coops,
Yep.
having your own sawmill. I mean, you can. I did use the Alaskan sawmill when I first started, but if you can get a little cheap mill, you can build things like that for your
Oh
chicken
yeah.
coop and stuff.
Later,
Why is
Ken.
this is sticking? Sorry.
It's all right. Ken
This is
says, "All right,
my
y'all gotta." Ken says he's got to go.
okay, Ken. Thank you very much for stopping by. Sorry I talk so much.
That's why we're doing it.
See, this is I got to put some tin on the roof. That's just my cheap little generator shack.
Man, I like that.
So I can go inside in the winter, because before I just had it under some made a pallet kind of thing and did under. So then I just put a generator inside. And
Yeah.
I learned a lot about repairing generators, and there's a simple thing that goes wrong with them that anybody can fix. They're always throwing their generators out. I'll have to do a video on that someday. And no off-grid property is complete without an outhouse. You
Now
gotta have
that
a
is
backup.
cool. Yeah. Is that light solar?
Yep. Solar is the best invention of this time, because I got solar everywhere. And it's really like the greatest invention. I don't know what it's doing for the environment with all the plastics and that, but it's the best. And see, you can decorate your outhouse with flowers
Mm-hmm. That's
and
nice.
stuff like that. It doesn't have to look like it's not fit to go in. And oh yeah, there's a bridge. Remember I told you I had one on the property. I built that over
Yep.
the creek part.
Yep. So
And
you decorated your outhouse to make it look like it smells good.
exactly. And I painted a sign of the with the forest on it, and the saying says "Grin and bear it." Now this is garden stuff. I actually got some garden stuff coming up. There's the greenhouse part. That was there since I came. One of the first things I built was a greenhouse,
Yeah.
and some of my rhubarb and chives and stuff, as you can see, is already coming up of the ground. The red there, but that's another piece of advice about off grid. If you're going to do a greenhouse, make sure you do a greenhouse in a location and position it that you can build onto it, because you're going to start it small, but it's never going to be big enough. And in my climate, I should have went a lot bigger so I'd have a lot longer growing season, because I took a video, but I didn't post the follow up on the corn. It did get little, cobs, but it never filled out because I ran out of time, even with heat. So greenhouse, build it that you can add on to it. This is the water tank that I talked about earlier, water tanks to haul water.
Yeah. I've seen those
Everybody's
around.
seen those. They're food grade. It's tilted there because over the winter it would bust if you had it filled, but now it's back to the season. And I know Matt and them know about that. Always have barrels, metal barrels for extra fuel and diesel. Always stock up as if tomorrow was the last day, so you're prepared on stuff like that. I don't know if I have any more pictures in there. Just want to check. Just showing that I was just showing that the things I was doing there. So that's good. So any more questions? Any more things you'd like to see? Like to
Let's see.
talk about?
One of the things that go ahead, Mission.
I was just gonna say it's just about time for me to head out. My family's getting started on watching the last episode of the House of David show, and I definitely want to join them. So,
Okay.
Okay.
I,
Thank you so much for coming. I always enjoy hearing from you.
no
one of my
problem.
favorite
Good to talk to
things,
you.
one of my favorite things in doing this, it don't happen very often, but Mission will come in. Most everybody else, I don't know if they're shy or what, but I think it's cool to get everybody to meet each other. That's really awesome and get to actually talk to each other and instead of just always by text or just in each other's pre-recorded videos.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I agree with you. It's a more personal, and you get to
yeah,
know the people. I like
yeah.
that. That's
Even
what I
with
like
him, like
about you.
just working in the background. To me, that's just cool. It looks
Yeah.
cool and it's all live and it almost starts feeling like family.
Well, it is family.
Yeah. All
You
right,
guys are
Mission.
lucky that I don't get to one of your camps or fish outs. You don't have to put plugs in your ears the way I talk.
It's all right. We'll see
All
you
right.
later,
Well, I'll see you
Mission.
guys. Have a good
See
Thank
one.
ya.
you. You too. All right. Anybody else can come in that wants to. If you want to meet her and talk to her, you can ask more questions. Let's see. Herbert has a question here. What is your main source for water?
I use the dugout and I haul water. The tote I just showed. So you can go to 40 kilometers from here, and especially in the summer, there's outdoor pumping stations where you can hook a garden hose up to and get water. So you fill those tanks, pressure tanks, and bring them back to your property on a trailer or whatever. So and then I tend to sometimes use the 18, the big. I don't know if you guys have them, the big water jugs. I don't have one here with me. They're
Yeah, like the 5
18.9
gallon.
liters, and you fill those.
Okay.
But
I
then the
think,
big dugout is for everything else. It's for gardens, uh, pressure washing your vehicle, whatever.
yeah. Herbert says Connie's my, let's see, let me get it right here. Connie is my kind of peeps.
Well, thank you. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
That's all the questions right now I'm seeing.
And you were asking me if I had any bushcraft experience and stuff. I know from there. And
Right?
all I was going to say about that was just my background with my dad. Like as soon as I could walk, I was in the bush with him and my brother doing things. We would go like 9 miles, walk into a camp. That was what I call more off grid. Because what you did was, like most of the older generation will know, you would take a sandwich and a thermos of tea in your pack, and that was it. And you went and walked in, you had your guns, you had your gear, and then you had to catch your food for the weekend. And if you didn't catch anything, you got hungry.
Oh,
And you were
wow.
going down to the creek to get the water to boil. And I done that on weekends. I done that at a school, and I've actually did dad's trap line, rabbit hunting, different things. So I was always in the bush, and that's where it came from. Was that love from my dad. My dad was kind of called like a Daniel Boone because that's what he did when he wasn't fishing and doing his regular job. So I learned from him, and I'm grateful for that. And that's why I have the camp, because I'm closer to my father because I built this. It brings me back to that, and I want it to do that.
I got a question. If you could only, you're going to go out and live in the wilderness for a year, you can only take 3 pieces of equipment with you. Like, hatchet, matches, whatever. You can only take 3 things. What would your 3 things be?
Man, I wish I could turn a multi-tool. I'm definitely I definitely would not go without a gun. I
Right.
just not, and I hope the bullets don't count.
No, bullets don't count.
Although I can make them and have the gunpowder and can do that. And man, it's a toss up between a knife and a hatchet. I would say I'd have to take the knife because when it comes to firewood, you can always break limbs and do stuff. And something, well, you can make a bowl to get water. I guess some type of tarp or something that no, I'll take a first aid kit. That's what I'll take.
Okay.
The rest I'll just wing it.
All right. Sounds good to me. I've never been asked that question. I don't know what I'd say. I think when I was talking to JT the other day, he kept bringing up fire. And so that would probably be one of my things is
Yeah.
matches or a lighter or a striker or something to create fire. And then probably a purification, something that could purify water. Because your water there might be clean, but around here where I live anyway, it's pretty raunchy, some of it. And then not sure what my third one would be, but those two for sure. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I'd have to use the barrel of my gun for my flint.
So Ozarks Woodsman says, "Oh yeah, those are the good old days. Best way to camp."
Yeah.
Talking about what you had said.
Yeah, but you know, when you're like young and you're like, I don't know, 9 years old and you're going and doing that, even though your dad's there to protect you. When you're late getting to camp and you're walking in the dark and you're tripping over the tree roots to keep on your dad's heels because you don't want a bear coming up behind you.
Yeah.
And those are the years when if the window broke out in the camp and there's just plastic there and it rattles in the wind from the candle, you're nervous. But then you're over that in the good old days.
Have you ever been to the U.S.?
Maine. I crossed over to Maine once from Nova Scotia. I didn't have a passport, but then they let you go over. And I went out because I came from St. Stephen's, New Brunswick, and I went over and had lunch at McDonald's just to say that I'd been in in the U.S. I've dreamt of going there because I've traced my genealogy and I've got a lot of ancestry from the Hudson River down from Quebec. I forget the name of the place, Sorel, Quebec, down to New York and Vermont.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been to Canada, and I've always been intrigued by it. And I know it don't even make sense, but ever since I was even a kid, I remember seeing the Canadian flag and thinking, man, they got the coolest flag. I've always thought it looked so cool just because of the leaf, the nature look of it, you know? I've
And you know
always loved nature.
and the funny thing about the leaf is up here where I am, there isn't a maple tree. Now, there's
Yeah.
likely some down south, but there's none here. That is one thing. If someone said, "What do you miss about the East Coast?" The places I've been there is that tree. I did bring one here from my mom's, and it lasted a couple of years, but I don't know if I actually damaged it when I did the fence or not. It was only small, and it didn't come back. Some trees are hard to transplant depending on the
Right.
soil.
Yeah. And then the other thing was just every picture I've ever seen, it just seems like, of course, I'm sure, you know, they always put out the best ones, but the land was just so beautiful to me. I can't imagine seeing it in real life. And then
Yeah, it's
never
beautiful.
never really even knew anybody from there until one day I ran across I can't remember if I ran across you first or Nick, but Nick C is from Canada, and
Nick's
some
from
of the
Calgary.
okay,
Yeah.
some of the scenery behind him is just like I remember one time I thought, is that a green screen or it just looked too good to be true, you know?
Well, that's
But
how I ended up west. Is well, my sister came before me, and I always dreamt of it. That story in my videos of Mount Everest, climbing Mount Everest when I was young. And
uh
the Rockies, I associate it with that, and I always wanted to see them, wanted to see them. And in 2001, I came out and I saw them, and I saw the Angel Glacier. And when I got there, it was such a thing that I built it up in me so much to be there that I just broke down. And I went down to the river and I put my feet in that frigid glacier water, and I went to heaven. And that was
yeah,
it. And when I had the chance to come here, I was like, yes, I'm going. It's like the untouched land. The only other place I have a fantasy about moving, like to see, was Alaska.
yep,
Like
same
that's a
here.
frontier also. And
Yep,
I'll take this for now.
yep. I've always wanted to see Alaska and Canada.
Yeah. Oh, they're
Now how
beautiful.
far are you from where Nick C is?
It will probably take me 9 or 10 hours.
Oh, okay, so y'all are quite a ways apart.
Yeah, because he's on the other side of the trenches.
Okay.
He'd be down near Banff, on the other side of Banff and Revelstoke, which is the Rockies that you're seeing. Like from Calgary, you can see the Rockies, and it's gorgeous. Like the glaciers, the whole thing. It is exactly what you see in the pictures. Unfortunately, like in Jasper, they had the forest fire, but it'll come back. But it is gorgeous. You will feel like you're in heaven.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we got anything here. I think that's all the questions on the screen. You got anything else you want to say or add or show or?
No, I think we covered all the questions in here. That the weather, the bushcraft, uh, how I got off grid. We did all that. I think that was the main thing. And I was going to show you that other thing, but I couldn't find it. I did
Yeah.
I did find my little kettle today. I got to clean it up.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
I like that. Hey,
yeah.
do you remember my video the other day that I did, the stealth one in that scary bridge, all spray painted and stuff?
Yes, yes.
Okay, there was a big metal. Oh, here, let me bring myself up. There was a big metal bowl, stainless steel bowl that was there that I guess homeless people or whoever had used. And even with all that stuff going on, I was so nervous. But I grabbed that bowl and brought it with me because I can
Oh,
tell it
cool.
hadn't been used in a while, but I cleaned it up and it's ended up becoming one of my favorite bowls now, like to put salad in and all that stuff.
That's cool because it is good to keep keepsakes from camping trips and different things. Like I've done like railway tracks that have been torn up. You get the railway spike. Some people make knives out of them, whatever. But it's
Yeah.
always good because you can visually see it and relate an experience to it, even when your memory goes.
Right. All right.
So does that sound like good? Is there anything else anyone wants to know? Like I know like sometimes I got a little bit off topic, but it's just so nice talking to people. So I
Yeah.
hope people enjoyed it.
Oh, I enjoyed it a lot. And
And maybe you can edit it if you think it's way
oh
out
no,
there.
I don't want to edit it. That's what I was telling you the other day or whenever we talked. It's like sometimes that's why I like Mission. He comes in here to save me. And as weird as that sounds, because sometimes it's just hard. I start running out of questions and don't know what to do. And he's usually there where I could say, hey, blah, 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 blah. And he just takes off, you know? So he
Yeah.
does it as a favor to me, probably more than anything, which I
If
appreciate.
anybody's still there out there besides us, just let them know that spring is really here for me. I've seen a hawk And I posted the picture of hawk hunting yesterday. This morning, 2 pileated woodpeckers mating up to have a nest that were in my backyard, and the ducks and that are here. The mosquitoes are here, the bumblebees, and next time I'm going to be fishing. So
Yeah, well, that's cool. I'm ready for winter myself.
well, if you
So
want me, I can send you some of this snow in the cooler, but I don't think it's probably going to have taxes on it.
yeah. So Tucker and I says very enjoyable and informative. Connie is an awesome woman.
Well, thank you, Gary. Gary's a good chap too, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. I like his dog, the Tucky Roll, and like I say, I had my camel on, and one of my videos. He also sent me a hat. I got to get on there and show. I was gonna wear it here, but going down to the bog again, the white on it might have spooked those guys down there. But Gary's always been a big supporter, so I appreciate having him come and visit.
Mike says, hang on, let me pull this up where I can see it. He says, I enjoyed getting to know you better, Connie.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I say I
And
hope I didn't ramble on too much and get too off track. I just get excited to talk to people, that's all. Because I enjoy what I do, right?
yeah, well, I think people find it interesting because I think the majority of people that's doing what we do would like to have the guts to do what you're doing, probably a lot of us anyway, and we just haven't gotten the guts yet to do it.
I think that, like I said, though, it's being intimidated, and don't be, because any one of you are capable of doing this. Anyone can do it. You just have to take the plunge. And if I can say it to anybody, do it while you're young. Do it now.
Too
I'm going
late.
to retire here doing this, but do it while you're young, and you can do all the things that you need to do to prepare to relax and enjoy it once it's built.
Right.
Don't be intimidated by things. You are all fully capable of doing the same type of adventure. Just dive in.
Hang on. I did the wrong page. There we go. So I wanted to say one thing. The lamp behind you,
Yeah,
I had done a giveaway. That's what that is, right?
you got it. And I got to do
Okay.
a review on it.
So I had
But
done a giveaway, y'all, and I drawed Connie's name, and I felt so terrible. I took her name back because I thought I can't afford to send that to Canada. It was just I didn't even think about that when I was first giving stuff away. But then, so I did a redrawing of it. Well, then my boss, Johnny, everybody's heard me talk about him. He was like, well, why ain't you sending it to her? And I said, she lives in Canada. I can't afford to do that. He said, well, what were you sending her? And I told him. And he said, well, how much was it going to cost? I said, I think like 35 or 4. I don't remember what it was at the time. And later he went to lunch like he always does. When he came back, he said, here, and he handed me the lantern and he handed me the money. And he said, send it to her. And so I was like, okay. So I can't take credit for it. That was all Johnny. He did it
well,
just.
I mean, it was both of you and Johnny. Like, I give credit to Johnny so much because he seems like such a awesome guy. Well, not seems, he is, because
Yeah.
he's very giving and very helpful, and I noticed that about him. And that's the great thing of having empathy and stuff. But I'm going to tell you, this lamp, Randy, I have used it tons. And the batteries actually last a long time in it. They're D batteries. It does take 4, but it's got a low setting and a high. But I
Uh-huh.
mean, this thing, it works. It does. It's like awesome. You wouldn't believe how long. I can leave that run all night if I want to, and it'll run. I bet you a week, 2 weeks on those batteries.
Wow. That's
Like
awesome.
I don't know if I just got a good one, like Johnny, like it's like a genie bottle, and Johnny's,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But It really works and it lights up good. Like it will light up a whole room. I love it. And the fact that it's got a handle, right? Like I can go outside and use it even if I don't use my solar lights. It's the Coleman one. So
Yeah.
you think, oh, battery, it's not, but it's super and bright. And I'm going to do a review on it.
Yeah, I might need to get me one then, because the one I got, it ain't that bright. One of the reasons I got it's got that little windy thing on it. So if it does start to go bad, I can wind the bottom of it. But it
No,
ain't very bright at all.
oh, that's
Um,
bright. It's awesome. Even when the batteries start to die, you can still see with it. I love it. It was a wonderful thing that he did decide to send that. And I'm very grateful.
That's so
Because I'm
cool.
always like, I don't say Johnny, I always go Randy. So I'm going to have to call it the R&J lamp.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to
So
see it in your house.
yeah. And so you know what? You are in Canada. Here you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. At least my prints are.
Oh, there you go. That's what I mean. Like your spirit, your light is in Canada.
Yeah. Woodsman says, I want to hear more stories someday for sure.
Oh, I got lots of stories.
All right. Well, that's all I got. I think that's all they got. And
Okay.
it's almost 9 o'clock here.
Yeah, and we're 2 hours
So
difference is 7 here. That's quite a while. So people probably want to have a nap by now. But thank you very much, Randy, and thank you to the community. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I hope that everyone enjoyed themselves.
I know I did. I'm sure everybody here did. And hopefully this will get more reviews as it goes out. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you for doing it. Appreciate it. Look forward to more of your videos.
Okay, they're coming slow but sure.
Yeah. All right.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you
Good night,
later.
everybody. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.